Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, Coco Knows. I am Chanel, and I'm just gonna jump right into the video. So you've seen the title, so you know what this is gonna be about. EMDR. EMDR is a type of therapy, and it stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy. And so some of you may or may not know, I am a psychotherapist for children. That is what I do for a living. From birth up into the age of 16 is the population that I work with. So I'm not trained in EMDR yet. I probably plan to in the future. You first have to be fully licensed. I am an LCSWA, which just means I'm not fully licensed yet. I'm provisionally licensed and working towards full licensure. But for now, I'm experiencing EMDR as a participant in therapy myself because I once heard that you can only take people as far as you have gone, right? So, example, swimming. If I can't swim over 5 feet, there's no way I can take someone into waters deeper than that because I could drown myself and them. And so therapy is much the same way. It's kind of difficult to be able to help individuals through certain things if you have not experienced them yourself. But that's not the only reason why I decided to do EMDR. I decided to do EMDR because I have some things that I need to process through, some things that I need to really work through. And I've realized that I have a really big issue, you guys, one, with rushing things, with patience. Also, I have a huge issue with being perfect. Like everything has to be perfect. And I also have a control problem, not controlling of people, but trying to control things around me to make sure that it's perfect so that other people can accept me and so that I can feel like I've accomplished something. And that's not a healthy way to think because one, nobody's perfect. Two, everybody's not going to like you. And three, it's just not healthy and we can't rush the process of things. So I've done talk therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy, which CBT. So I've done those things and they worked for the time being, but there's some deeper things that need to be processed. So I decided to do EMDR. So first of all, let me tell y'all, my therapist that I have in the beginning, I was going to get rid of her because I was like, I really need someone who has EMDR. When I first looked for her, EMDR wasn't on my mind, but after talking to my big sister, she was like, maybe EMDR is for you. She is EMDR trained, and she uses it in her everyday work, and so she knows for a fact that it works. And so I'm like, okay, maybe that's what I need to do is find someone who's trained in that. Just so happened that I was having a conversation with my therapist about we were just talking through some thoughts. And she mentioned that same day, the day that I had thought in my mind, okay, I'm gonna have to get rid of her because she's not EMDR trained. At least she didn't advertise it like her website or the posting from where I found her. She didn't advertise EMDR. But through our conversation, she told me, I really believe you could benefit from EMDR. That was my sign. I feel like that was my sign from God right there to be like, okay, stick with this. Because also I have a problem with seeing things through. Like I start things, but finishing them is not my strong point, especially when I feel like I'm not successful in it or I feel like it's not working or going the way that I want it to. Because it's like, I'm not going to be perfect in it. So why am I going to continue in it? Which is terrible. It's like that all or nothing thinking. And I've seen that transpire in a lot of other things like weight loss. Sometimes I get discouraged and I'm like, this isn't working. Maybe I should just forget it and give up because I don't see results right away. And that's not healthy thinking. I don't want to pass that thinking down to my children. I don't want to pass that type of thinking down to anyone else in my environment that I could be influencing. So I figured it's time to kind of get that stuff worked out. But anyway, So I decided to continue on with her, and it's a lot of setup first. So let me say this: for EMDR, it's a lot of setup. It's a lot of repetition on the therapist's part. So it's very scripted. There's not a lot of emotions on their end. So if you're the type of person that feels like you need to receive other people's emotions, or you need to kind of feel out how they're feeling about your progress in this, you just relax, because they're not going to show a lot of emotion, which they already don't anyway because it's therapy. But I feel like she was really, really restricted on feedback that she was giving to me, and I was like digging and searching for like a head nod or something. But in reality, it's no right or wrong way to do it as a client. Like, there's what you feel is what you feel. What's coming up in your body, on your mind, all that stuff is basically it's your feelings, and it's right because it's how you feel. So it was a lot of setting up, finding a safe place in your mind, filling a jar, or creating a imaginary jar. It was a lot of like creating things in your mind first. Also some setting up, whether you want to do audio or visual. I thought I was visual. I learned a lot about myself too in these first few sessions. So I really think I'm visual, which I am to a certain extent, but for this, audio is better for me to hear the little ball going back and forth, or whatever, the sound going between my headphones. What else? So the foundation of this, a lot of it is first figuring out what are your negative cognitive distortions, or the negative things you feel about yourself. And I think we did like the top 3. She did this whole process of, figuring out for me what that was. And that, to say it out loud, is crazy to me, because I think these things in my head all the time about myself, which is not good. But like it's the thoughts that I have about myself, I realize they're not good, especially when you hear them out loud. It's like, whoa, why? Who deposited that into you? Where is that coming from? And why do you think that? Anyway, so once you get through the couple of sessions, or however long it takes you guys to set up, it gets kind of intense a little bit. So I had a session and didn't expect to be in there like in my feelings the way that I was, because one, in the beginning, I was like, this isn't working. And it says a lot about me and my thought process, because I was rushing it, like, why don't I feel anything yet? And then when you what is the word, relax a little bit, and just realize that you can't rush the process. You have to really tap in. And once I did, you guys, it's crazy, the feelings and the things that were said, the things that come out, the things that just kind of come up in your emotions and in your body. Like, I pay attention to, like, I do this thing with my hands a lot when I'm nervous, or when I am frustrated, mostly when I'm like frustrated and nervous. It creates like a little suction for me, and it just feels good. It feels nice. It's comforting to me. And I realized I was doing that a lot, but I didn't realize that until she's like, okay, realize what's happening in your body. And I'm like, why are my hands so tightly cuffed? But it's something I do all the time. Also, I realized I clench, I like bite down in the back of my jaw a lot, like on my back teeth, not my jaw, on my back teeth, when I am feeling emotional and kind of just trying to hold things in, or hold it together. And that was very interesting to notice about yourself. And this also is going to cause me to notice my body and notice things that are happening in my body when I encounter certain situations, certain emotions, because I was like, I really don't, in the beginning, I was like, I really don't feel anything. Like, why does my body not respond to anything? But only thing I can ever remember noticing when I am anxious or scared, sad, nervous, or whatever, is my heart will beat really fast. And it's like sometimes hard to catch my breath, but then other times it's not. It's just it beats really fast. Or when I'm upset, then my ears, I do notice that my ears get really hot, or I feel heat coming out from my ears, literally. But so EMDR will force you to notice a lot of things about yourself, how you react to certain situations, and what you things that you've been thinking about yourself. And at the end of the day, you guys, my thoughts about myself are not that great. And I'm now curious to know why. Where did that come from? Part of me knows, part of me, I do kind of sort of know where these come from. But growing up, my family is a very affirmative family. Like, they're very loving, very affectionate, just loving people in general. So it's not like, I was abused by my parents, grandparents, or anybody like that. No one ever talked negatively or down on me. But it's like trying to figure out where in my brain or in my life did I allow or did I experience someone placing those thoughts or those emotions upon me. And I don't really know about as a young child, but I do know where it came from as an adult. But I feel like a lot of this having to be perfect type stuff did start really young for me. And that's another thing too. It forces you to think about your experiences that you've had as a child and draw from those experiences to kind of make sense of the here and now. And for me, I was in school in kindergarten, and I clearly remember we couldn't talk, and you had to monitor a person who was like monitoring the classroom, write names on the board. If you talk, teacher left the room. I'm always goody two shoes. I always follow the rules because I just feel like you have to. And when my best friend sat in front of me, she dropped her sweater, and I picked it up and not thinking, and she said thank you, and not thinking, I said you're welcome. Neither of us were thinking or trying, we weren't trying to be disrespectful or rude or disobedient or any of that. We just naturally to be nice, and got our name on the board. And so I got paddled with a ruler, and that shattered me, you guys. For the longest time, I was like, why am I such a bad kid? Like, why did I do that? Because I went to a private school, and back then I grew up in the 90s. So I was born in 89, but grew up in the 90s. And it was people were allowed to paddle kids. So, and I just remember that. And I was just like, man, okay, I have to stick to the rules, or else you're going to get paddled. You have to be perfect. You have to walk the straight line. So, I think that, and going to private school, a Christian private school, and them instilling, it's not a bad thing, but I think it's a certain way to instill the straight and narrow in children. And I'm not quite sure if it really comes directly from that, but I don't know. We're exploring, and I think too, some of that could come from me seeing other people be wrong and do wrong and all that. And it's just like, man, like, it's terrible. I don't want to be like that. So let me do whatever I can to be perfect so that I could be accepted and loved and all that stuff. So I don't know. But if you're interested in EMDR, you should find a therapist that is certified and has experience. Because it really helps you dig down deep and find those emotions and figure out where these things are coming from. I will say it is an emotional journey. This is only maybe my third session. Well, before we were just setting up. So I think this might have been my first real session with EMDR. And I'm going to go back. But it was a lot of work. But I'm willing to stay the course and do it again. So if you have questions about, I'm going to continue to update you guys as much as I can, as much as I can remember about my experience with EMDR. But so far, it's good. So far, so good. I do like when you're done, they help you to kind of regulate. They don't leave you, upset and all that stuff. You do get a minute to regulate and go back to your happy place. Also, my big sister, who's a therapist, gave me a suggestion to practice your the skill that's going to help you to calm down and regulate. So mine is tapping. That's the one that I chose. And so she suggested that anytime that I feel overwhelmed or have like big feelings or whatever, to regulate by practice regulating by doing that to help calm down. And it helped big time. I can say that. I've used it a lot, and it just kind of helps you settle right on down. And so yeah, so y'all, if you try every other therapy there is out there and it doesn't work, or you feel like these emotions keep coming up, definitely you should try EMDR. Don't knock it till you try it. And talk to some other people out there about it too and see how they feel about it. But until then, you guys, I'm going to check out and see you guys soon. Love you. Bye.